Yo, this is Jay Pryor, and today we're going to be running through my record By Now. Right, so before I jump into the track breakdown, I just wanted to let you know that in the description I've left a link for the download of the Acapella, so you can remix the record. I really want to hear your remixes. I've done this before in the past and I've been so impressed with what you guys send me. So I'm also going to include my promo email address and a hashtag. So if you put the hashtag into like your SoundCloud upload or YouTube or anything, it just means that it's easier for me to find and I can comment on it and support it, and yeah, maybe even play it to the label and see if we can get it released. So have fun with that, but let's get on with the tutorial. So I wrote this song with Josh Wilkinson and Sakima about a year ago. I think I brought some chords into the session that we wrote to, and yeah, it just developed over the course of the day. So let's jump into the DAW and we can go through everything in a bit more detail. Right, so we're in the DAW now, and these are the chords I was just explaining that I brought into the session. Yeah, so the mic's getting a bit in my way, but yeah, those are the chords. They're going through pretty much the entire verse and pre, and the song is built up of pretty much those in this section. It's the main kind of root sound. Someone's fucking ringing me. Hello? Oh, Amazon, is it? Great. Are you outside, are you? Yeah, just ring the doorbell.
I'm not able to ring through for some reason.
You're not able to? Well, I'm not at home right now, so... I'm not at home right now, so... do you want to throw it in a bush or something? I'm trying to remember. No, you can throw it in a bush if you want. If there's a bush that, like... It you can't really see it in, you can throw it in there and then I'll just look for it. Well, there's bushes all around it, yeah? No? Yeah, and just if it's on the which side is it on now?
So if you're walking towards the entrance, it'll be on your left side, yeah?
On the left side. Cool, thank you. Cool, just put it under there. Cool, thank you. Bye. I'm now here looking for my package in the bush. Is that it? There she blows. But yeah, that's initially what I played in the session, and I think everyone kind of just really liked it, and kind of sparked quite a few ideas from everyone. But yeah, that's pretty much the main sound in the verse. If I play the whole verse, it sounds like this. Actually, those aren't in it in the final version. I took those out. By the way, this project is not the like final project, but it's the most in-depth version of the project. So obviously there was like mixing and other things going on after this, so it's gonna sound a little bit different, but yeah, for the most part it's pretty much the exact same. So yeah, for the kind of bed of the verse is just those chords, and then we have like some drums in that section too, like this hat groove, which to be honest, like I didn't have in the beginning, and then after some feedback from just DJ friends and stuff like that, they kind of let me know that it was important to have some sort of rhythm in the verse section and keep that chucking along, which I completely agree with and try and implement into a lot of my songs now. But yeah, other than that, it's just some like effects and stuff and nothing too crazy, just like this vocal effect coming in and some sub drops, and like leading into that there's some effects too. So there's this swell thing and this reverse piano thing as well, which is gonna take ages. But yeah, pretty simple section, to be honest. There's another impact there that didn't mention. But yeah, pretty simple section. I'm not going to run through the vocal because I can play the vocal for you, but the vocal was recorded in another session, which I can go through maybe later. But this isn't the final vocal, so I don't want to like... It's just the vocal we cut in the session, so it's quite demo. But I can play it for you just so you can hear how insane Sakima's dry vocal sounds. But yeah, just know that there's minimal processing on it. This is what it sounds like.
I'm not looking for nobody else. You're the one that I chose. On day one I was feeling it. I'm going mad, hoping that you do too.
Yeah, pretty crazy considering there's no tuning on that. It's just a little bit of reverb, and also a little bit of compression, which was recorded in the studio. But yeah, I'm gonna mute that just to focus on the instrumental side of the record for just for this walkthrough. So yeah, moving on from the piano, we then go into the pre-chorus section, which has this bass that comes in. It's kind of the Hoover bass that I use a lot. And I'll just play that for you quickly here. It sounds like this. And a lot more drums come in this section too, so we'll run it over them as well. But yeah, the main elements come in here obviously is that bass line, so we can run through that. It's just literally a bass from Spire, and sounds like this on its own. It's got really minimal processing. It's literally just got this EQ that's being automated. And I have this kind of rolling or gliding bass coming into it as well, which I can play for you. Sounds like this. And that's just literally the same patch, but just with a bit of glide on it. But yeah, other than that, we just have some white noise and effects that are overlapping the drums. We've got obviously quite a lot more drums and these ambient things coming in. The kick is coming in as well, which sounds like this. It's a different kick that I used than I used in the drop, but I thought it sounded really cool in this section. So we've got that kick, we've got some claps, all pretty much just different samples that I have just banked over the years. And yeah, just a couple more different random drum samples here and there. We've got shaker loop here that is kind of sitting on top of everything, just giving a bit more groove. That sounds like this. And snap from Kashmir, which I tend not to use a lot of these days, but back when I was producing this, I tended to use a lot of Kashmir samples. They're good samples, but they're just so overused now. So yeah, quite a lot more drums coming in that section. There's this loop that I just kind of cut up to sound like this. And then this Atmos thing as well that comes in, which I think I just found on a Vengeance sample pack. But I'm pretty sure that's it. No, there's a few more little tams, and there's this shaker loop as well. Kashmir, no surprises there. But yeah, it's pretty much like that section, just those elements being brought in. We also have like these random vocal things in the center, which I quite liked. And these kind of vocal chop things too. They're actually in the previous section, which I forgot to mention. But there's this version. And what I did is just I cut the vocal into like just like a vocal part. And then brought it into the piano roll and just pitched it up 1 for this. And kept it the same key in this version, but just cut it off at the end. In terms of processing, it's just like a ton of kind of messing it up with some OTT and distortion, and then like soothing it out with some reverb. So yeah, that's those 2 sections. We then go into like the bass breakdown, build up, whatever you want to call it, and that sounds like this. So yeah, this bass is quite simple. It was just another Spire patch, I believe. I don't think I made this. I think it was just a preset that I found. But yeah, it sounds like this. And the magic's really in the processing. It's not a super crazy sound or anything. I think I just added a shit ton of processing to this. So yeah, without processing, it sounds like this. Actually, yeah, that is what it sounds like without processing. Sounds pretty shit, but then I've added like some Soundgoodizer. Don't hate on Soundgoodizer, by the way. It does exactly what it says on the tin. I've got a EQ just cutting out those lows. If I go one by one, it might be a bit clearer. And then some Camel Crusher distortion. That kind of changes the sound very much. Got some reverb. I've got some stereo shaper, which people tend not to do really with bass sounds, but because I've split the sub layer, I think it's okay, and it makes it just sound super huge. So I've added a little tiny bit of stereo separation just to make it sound a bit bigger, and some Valhalla delay. This is my favorite delay. I can't recommend it enough. It's such a sick delay. Love that delay. And then it's just kind of being cleaned up a bit again with some EQ and sidechain and stuff. So pretty basic stuff, but it definitely transformed the sound a lot. And you've just got that EQ at the end there, which is automating. This is just kind of in the build. This is just going to be automating up to build it up a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much the main sound in that section, I guess. We have obviously the sub drop and the vocal impact coming in again. We've got the white noise downlifter. We've got this impact, which is being reintroduced just for some kind of familiarity throughout the track. And then yeah, we get into sort of the build section. So this bass is being routed into another channel which has Endless Smile on it, and that's just being automated again. I love this plugin so much. Look at that guy, gets so happy. But this is how I felt when I first put this on. Have you seen that? But yeah, I love Endless Mile, such a sick plugin. Saves a lot of time in the studio. But yeah, that's literally being rooted to this. So that is just creating that build effect. I've got a balance on here because I cut all of the sounds then. As you can hear there, it just completely cuts. So that's the balance being automated in. And then I've got a sidechain on that, which is just sidechaining the bass to the kick. So that's what's kind of building that there. I've also introduced a snare roll pattern, which is also being endless smiled, I can hear. But it's got a bit more of an intense preset on it, which I also feel is kind of now being a bit overused, but at the time I just thought it sounded really cool. Look at this guy, man. He just looks so fucking odd. But yeah, that's just being introduced, and then after a while it just starts to pick up, and that's got a volume automation on it too. Other than that, I've got some uplifters, just Cashmere and Vengeance uplifters, things that I've saved over time, just embanked into my little sample pack. This is actually this is one of the first uprisers I ever made. Back in the day when I was really into like Swedish House Mafia and stuff, I looked up a tutorial how to make a Swedish House Mafia uplifter, and this is what I made. And I still use it to this day. So, yeah. I've got a few different just white noise uplifters too, more basic ones. But that's pretty much that section, to be honest. No professor shit. We've got this little fill, which I didn't use because it sounds super like EDM-y, but I've used a part of it. Just this little clap. I'm gonna turn this off because it just sounds horrible there. It's kind of a snare with just a shit ton of white noise on it. And I thought it sounded cool, so put that in there. And then there's just this bar of just silence pretty much, and I'm just letting the vocal really ride on that, which I can play for you just for reference.
If you don't know that.
So yeah, just absolutely everything cuts out, and then the vocal is just left there to shine. And then I have this bass reverse thing that goes into the drop, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so what I did with that is I literally just added two different panomatics. One is controlling the volume, and the other one is controlling the the other one is controlling the pan, and I've just automated the speed and amount over time, just to create that effect. Alright, so this is the drop section. As you can see, there's a shit ton of drums being introduced. Go through the kick. So we've got this little kick that I have in my sample pack, but it comes from, I don't even know, man. I find so many different samples on Splice and stuff, and I just add them to my pack. So highly recommend doing that, by the way. It's really handy to have your own little pack that you can go back to and pick up some samples just to get sort of a more seamless sound throughout your music and stuff like that. But yeah, that's being layered with kind of this acoustic-y thing. So if I play the kick on its own, it sounds like, but with the acoustic layer, just gives it a bit more realness. And I always tend to do that, just adding that acoustic layer to the kick. Again, just add a little bit of realness to it, more organicness. Alright, so next we have this little loop thing from Vengeance, which sounds like this. And that's being layered with different hi-hat samples and clap samples, which I can run through now. That's just the hat. Really old school sounding. I use this hat quite a lot actually. And just some basic EQing on it. Reducing those highs. And then I've got 3 different clap layers to layer. I don't know, like there's a clap in the loop as well, so in total 5 different clap layers. I've done this since the start of making music. I just find that I can never sort of use one clap and be super content. I always have to kind of customize it by layering. And I always add like a little bit of a pre-shift clap as well, which it just kind of adds, again, just a bit of realness and a bit of like, if you imagine like a record, when everything's in line, it just sounds super robotic, and it doesn't sound like real music. It sounds like, I don't know how to describe it, but I think if you add little like layers and different like pre-shifts and stuff like that, you can get it to sound a lot more human. So yeah, those layers in total sound like this. Sorry, like this. And if I just go through them like one by one, it'll sound like this. So this is the pre-shift layer. And you can already tell that like by hitting before the clap, it really adds like a nice human little snappy element to it. So yeah, those are the claps. Again, just like in terms of effects, we just have that white noise downlifter, nothing crazy. No professor shit again, as Axwell would say. And yeah, in terms of drums, that's pretty much it. There's nothing crazy going on. It's just like my favorite samples all together. Later on, it gets a bit more intense with a few more loops and stuff like that. But to be honest, it's all very basic stuff. The bass layer is a bit different in this section. There's a couple more layers on top of it. There's some white noise stuff going on, and there's some metallic layers to it, which I can just play for you now. So we've already gone through the bass, so I may as well skip that for the moment. But the top sort of textural layers sound like this. So yeah, these kind of metallic plucks are on top, and they're actually being routed into this mixer channel, which has similar processing to the bass, and then this one here as well. So just weird, kind of more organic again. I always go back to that, but just kind of more organic sounding sounds. And then this little trick I learned from Dyro is like a white noise trick, and I've just saved that as Dyro noise. It's just kind of helps add some cool harmonics to bass sounds. So I'll solo that and play it for you now. It doesn't sound like much, honestly, but when you layer it with certain sounds, it actually makes, I think it makes a huge difference. Even in that, just there, when those two notes hit, I think it just makes it sound so much sicker. So yeah, that is a cool little trick. I can show you this keeps happening, like the spinning wheel of death just comes up. I think it's because I've got like auto save on. But yeah, super simple. Just to layer onto the bass sound. Then I've got the sub, obviously, which yeah is just being monoed, and it's just got some distortion on it. I think it's the same bass layer as the main bass, but just I've just split the frequencies. So super simple stuff again. Moving on, obviously one of the main sounds in the record is the steel drum layers, and I've been getting quite a lot of questions about how I made them. So this is what they sound like. And they're built up of quite a few layers, to be honest. I think it's 7 layers in total, which is quite crazy. But I'll try and run through each one with you. Just this first one right here is almost just like a white noise layer. It's this tom that I found from Kashmir, but I've just EQ'd out all of the mids and lows and just left those high frequencies. And then added, of course, a little soundgardizer because gotta be done. After that, there's a spire layer that I added, which is actually the layer that you can hear in the intro. There's this other spire layer. This is just a preset that I found, I'm pretty sure. I used a lot of spire in this track. And then, yeah, I believe like my process was like, I was kind of trying to create like a bit of an atmospheric pluck. And then when I heard those sounds, I thought it would sound cool as like a steel drum sound. So I added those, and I kind of knew that I needed to then implement it more into the record. And so, yeah, there's a ton of processing on these steel drums, so I'll just run through those quickly. There's an OTT, which is kind of demolishing the sound. I'll play it for you without first, actually. And this also sounds pretty mad, but it's all in the processing, really. We've got some OTT. I'll run through it one by one. So we've got OTT, soundgardizer, EQ, cutting all those lows. We've got a stereo shaper, which is just adding some stereo to it, but it's just making it a lot more wider. It really helps, I think. Then we've got a Valhalla Vintage Verb, favorite reverb. I'm not sure what this was, but Echo Boy. So yeah, this didn't load. I have since moved on to Valhalla Delay, so that would have been just a little delay. Pretty sure just from like thinking back, it was an 1/8 note delay. So yeah, just for reference, I'll pop that on, and then yeah, just a little kickstart. That's them being routed to this channel, which has some more processing there, which you can see. But so yeah, quite a lot of processing on that one. All of those together sound like this. Sorry, where's the... And then moving on from that, we have a couple more layers. We've got this M1 layer. Which again has similar processing. We've got this one, which I think is the same, but just an octave up. I'm incorrect. It's a mallet layer. And then after that, we have this, which is a massive layer. I just wanted it to sound a bit more metallic. So in massive, there's these white noise, different white noises. One of them is called high metallic, and it just sounds makes things sound really a lot more metallic if you layer with it. So all of them together sound like this. And yeah, that's pretty much the pluck sound. So yeah, moving on from that, I think in the first part of the drop, that's pretty much it. We have the iconic yeah, which Sakima absolutely hated. When I played it, I was messing about in the session. When I played it back, he was like pissing himself laughing, but I really like it. I really like that little, yeah, I think it's so sick. But yeah, transitioning into the second part of the drop, we have obviously those snares coming back in, which sounds like this. And then we've got a couple more drums coming in. We've got these rides, which come in, and another bass layer. Which is just being layered on top of the original bass, and it's just kind of playing a top melody on top. So a top melody on top. Wow, insightful stuff. So that's on mixer channel 89. I think it's the same. It could be the same mixer channel as the bass itself. Maybe not, but I think I've copied it over. So it's the same processing, except this has, I'm pretty sure it's very similar. This is being routed as well, so yeah, very similar. This again is on 89, so I'll just run through the sounds on their own. And together. And then we have this one, which is on its own mixer channel. So yeah, pretty simple stuff really, like not much going on. Just in terms of processing, it's just kind of fucking about with it, getting it to a place where it sounds really big and kind of glues with everything else. But yeah, like nothing special about those sounds whatsoever. I think I've just moved something there. Oh, I have. My bad. So yeah, just sounding glued, and amongst the rest of the track, you're just making sure that it sounds like it belongs there, really. So it's not playing. This record sounds horrible unmixed. Honestly, it sounds fucking horrible. But yeah, anyway, moving forward, we have this little drum loop then that comes in, which you might recognize from a certain record of mine. I'll let you decide or figure out what record that is and let me know in the comments, because I'm keen to see if you get it. So yeah, that's literally just being EQ'd very lightly, cutting all those mids. And yeah, pretty much that's the second part of that drop. So yeah, other than that, we have just this top layer, which is some of the layers from the steel drum sound, just up an octave, and that sounds like this on its own. Sounds absolutely horrendous, but in the mix of everything, it sounds pretty decent, I think, and especially after mixing the record and everything. It just adds another element to the second drop, or second half of the drop, so that doesn't get too monotonous and kind of boring. But yeah, that's the drop. So hopefully you learned something from that. Going into there's only really one more section to talk about, or element to talk about, because the second drop is very similar. It's just the second half, and everything just kind of comes in at once. So I think maybe we have like a couple more drums. We actually don't. So yeah, super, like in terms of this project, like super simple stuff. So the last element to go through is there's a few more actually, but the one that I've noticed is the kind of dead mousey chords, which sound like this. No, that's the piano. These kind of chords. I love that sound, man. I have to use that in another tune because I just think they're so sick. So yeah, another spiral layer. I don't think I made these. No, I didn't. So yeah, it's just an ARP layer, but I just changed it to play into chords and not an ARP. And then obviously just automating the cutoff. Automating that cutoff over time, which is here. You can see here. And then yeah, the steel drum layer is just like, it then continues on in that section. Don't know why I deleted that, but everything else is the same. Like going into the pre-chorus, it's just that Hoover. I always say Hoover. It's that respace coming in. it's those drums again coming in. The only thing that's really added in this section is the vocoder. So I recorded this in another session, bounced it down, and imported it. So I actually don't have the, like, I can't show you exactly how it's made, but I just have the bounce of it and the processing. So it sounds like this. We're on its own. And that's literally just playing the chords from the piano and the sort of dead mousey pluck shit into a vocoder, and then having the vocal as the input. So after that, in terms of processing on that, without processing, it sounds like this. And for some reason, it's like really in the right ear. So if you're wearing headphones, you probably would have only heard that in the right ear, because that's what I heard on my speakers just there. But yeah, I fixed that. I just made it mono and then like just added some stereo myself. So for some reason that happened, but sure, look. We added this EQ because it sounded a bit harsh after all these things. I'll play it, but just watch your ears. So this EQ is on, just making things a bit smoother. We've got a vintage verb. And finally, just adding some more stereo to that. Make it sound super wide, super big. And then, yeah, this one as well. And then, yeah, pretty much the same build. There's not much else to talk about, really. This section is 8 bars longer. It's got this little down point as well here. Sounds like this. Actually, let me turn it on. That would be helpful. So it's kind of like an outro, but sort of for the radio edit. So in the final version of the song, this is where the by now, I can't sing, but that's where that sits. All right, so I hope that was helpful. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I hope that I explained everything as well as I could. If I did leave out anything, or you have any additional questions, please just leave them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Also, I can't wait to hear all of your remixes. Please send them to, I'm going to leave my promo email in the description. Send them to there, or just upload to SoundCloud with the hashtag in the description as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.